This month's pay-per-view recap was originally going to be filled with lots of jokes about Seth Rollins' name, but since he was injured, I've had to change most of them to jokes about Sheamus' name. For example, must we see more of Sheamus? That sure is a shame. Mus. Get well soon, Seth. Please. My fellow Marks, and welcome to this Survivor Series themed Remark, where we're celebrating 25 years of a man who has buried more people in the WWE than anybody else on the roster. Triple H. Also The Undertaker, he's cool too. My name's Martin, soon to be rebranded as Biker Martin, who does the same thing that the old Martin did, except he sits on a motorcycle sometimes and wears lots of leather. And everyone will pretend that they don't miss the original, more interesting Martin. Survivor Series, sponsored by more caffeine than any human should consume in their lifetime, traditionally begins with the traditional panel of experts. Renee Young. If looks could kill, you'd need an Undertaker. Booker T. If terrible commentary could kill, you'd need an Undertaker. Byron Saxton, who got very confused and thought we were celebrating 25 years of Undertale. And Corey Graves, a man whose surname is rife for Undertaker-themed jokes. But fuck me if I can think of any. Earlier in the night, the 4 men competing in the WWE Championship Tournament arrived, including Roman Reigns, who at the time was listening to an audiobook on how to achieve a perfect state of smugness. It's smugvana, you might call it. Kevin Owens decided to break convention and show up dressed formally, and Alberto Del Rio also decided to break convention by actually showing up to a public event that he was billed to be part of. Survivor Series comes to us from Atlanta, making it the third most uninteresting event to take place in Atlanta since its founding. The experts hype up tonight's pay-per-view card, focusing on the main events. 2 Survivor Series elimination tag matches where none of the participants have been announced yet. The tag match featuring Undertaker and Kane taking on 2 Wyatt family members who also haven't been announced yet. And of course, the match for the WWE Championship where the 2 participants haven't been announced yet. It's like a who's who of wrestling talent, with emphasis on the who. Because who the fuck is even wrestling tonight? Byron Saxton does his best impression of The Undertaker, rolling his eyes all the way back into his head. Yes, I'm pretty sure that tonight is going to be filled with eye-rolling moments just like this one. Booker T almost forgets the name of the pay-per-view and then delivers his expert analysis.
It's gonna get good.
This Thanksgiving, I'm thankful for Booker T. He makes the rest of us look good. Tom Phillips has glued together pieces of hair from his dad's razor and is wearing them as a makeshift beard so that he can go see a PG-13 movie all on his own. The experts discuss Seth Injuring's rolled knee, and Booker T delivers his prognosis.
Gonna be in a new era in the WWE after tonight, guys. I cannot wait.
Forget the Attitude Era. We're about to take it to a whole new level of extreme. The oops, everyone's injured, what the fuck do we do now era. Earlier, Byron Saxton interviewed Roman Reigns' more likable stunt double and asked him about the fact that he's been chasing the title for an entire year. So that's why he spent 5 months endlessly feuding with Bray Wyatt, because of the WWE title that Bray didn't have. Now that feud makes perfect sense. Byron asks Roman if he regrets not taking up Triple H's offer of selling out to the Authority, but Roman is steadfast in his beliefs.
This is what I'm thinking, because I stand on what I believe in.
Oh, that must make church services really awkward for you. Sorry guys, have to cut the prayer short for a bit. Roman Reigns is trying to climb on top of Jesus again. Renee asks Byron Saxton what he thought of Roman's responses, so of course Booker T tries to answer for him.
How did you feel sitting there, face to face
exactly
with
what
them?
you felt.
Yeah, Wolf Blitzer. Go ahead.
You were just jealous. You didn't get the interview. That's what it was.
Booker thought he was Byron Saxton. I'm not sure if that's racist. But if anybody could pull that off, it would be Booker T. The next semi-final matchup is Dean Ambrose versus Kevin Owens, and we're taken back to Raw the other week, where Dean explained what he would do if he became WWE champion.
Ain't gonna be no more suits. Ain't gonna be no more ties.
No more ties? Are you mad? How else are we supposed to comically express the amount of undue pressure we're feeling? We won't be able to do this. That's what's at stake here, Dean. Comical exaggerations from the 1950s. Dean also threatened to replace Michael Cole with a fish tank, which seems appropriate, as fish also have short-term memories that prevent them from remembering what happened on TV last week. Additionally, fish also look like gaspy twats. Booker T provides commentary that could only be matched by a 5-year-old boy after drinking too much lemonade.
Where you're sitting, that would be fine, too.
Keep you in shape. You love that.
I'm still more concerned about not wearing
that
a suit.
idea.
It could be cold out there.
Booker T. He's like the I Like Turtles kid, except he's wearing a suit and has a job and is expected to not be a blithering idiot. Michael Cole interviews a shaven circus bear, and the entire experts panel weighs in on who they think will come home with the WWE title tonight. Corey Graves predicts Kevin Owens, Byron Saxton predicts Dean Ambrose, and Booker's choice should be obvious, since he said the following about Alberto Del Rio earlier in the night.
To me, it's the same Alberto Del Rio as always. I mean, the guy's always been on my top 5, my fave 5. And actually, right now, coming back beating John Cena, I wouldn't even call that an upset. I would call that a big win for Alberto Del Rio. And tonight, can he go out there and cash it in? Can he go out there and take it to the next level? He's the only guy in this tournament that is a 4-time world champion.
And if that doesn't suggest that Booker will be rooting for Del Rio, I'm not sure what else could.
I gotta go with the Roman Empire, man.
You guys are
the
all
Roman
picking
Empire.
a different person?
You know, the Roman Empire, man.
I feel like Booker T's career is just one long extended episode of Swerved. And we're the ones getting swerved.
It's been a long time coming. Fastlane, WrestleMania, just slipped away from him. Now, tonight, could be Roman Reigns' night.
Yes, it has indeed been a long time coming. I mean, Roman's been after the title for like a year, as opposed to the rest of the WWE, who only started thinking about the WWE title last night or something. The experts move their discussion to the Divas Revolution, which is now known as the Divas Nintendo Wii.
It's opened up some primetime slots for the Divas, namely Paige and Charlotte.
Yes, the Divas Revolution did open up a primetime slot for Paige, who had already been Divas champion twice before the Divas Revolution was even mentioned. I would open my primetime slot for Paige. I'm saving it for her.
But when it comes down to it, there's only one number one.
Speaking of number one, what most people will be doing when the Divas match happens. There is a video package showcasing the intense feud between Charlotte and Paige, completely glossing over the inappropriate comments made by Paige regarding Charlotte's brother's senseless death. Speaking of inappropriate and senseless, the expert panel is completely drowned out by the arrival of Jerry the King Lawler. While the panel attempts to discuss the Divas, the crowd starts chanting, "Jerry, Jerry," as though this whole thing was taking place on an episode of the Jerry Springer Show. Having said that, that is presumably where most of the Divas Revolution storylines have been directly lifted from. So in a way, it's entirely appropriate. Rich Brennan somehow got within 5 feet of a human female. Rich interviews Charlotte about a touchy subject in a very serious manner, which is enhanced greatly by the sounds of the expert panel snickering to themselves for the first 10 seconds.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my guest at this time, the WWE Divas Champion, Charlotte.
We learn that Survivor Series is sponsored by Rolaids Advanced, which will come in handy while trying to digest this pay-per-view. Renee Young hypes up Tyler Breeze and Summer Rae appearing on the pre-show later in the night. And Booker T coins a phrase that the internet had already coined about a month ago.
I asked him about that new fragrance that he's working on.
Oh.
Summer Breeze.
Oh.
That's rather clever, what with you combining the two people's names and everything. Okay, moving on with the...
That's
I get it.
good.
The summer and the...
I like that.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Okay, as I was...
Okay, so let me get this straight. Summer Breeze.
Summer breeze.
Stop making Booker T seem clever and witty! You'll undo everything I've worked hard to achieve!
Well, there's a line there, but I'm not going to touch it.
That would be a first. JBL, Michael Cole, and Jerry Lawler are ringside for the traditional running of the jobbers.
And it wouldn't be a Survivor Series without a traditional tag team matchup.
Good thing we totally had one planned and didn't just throw one together at the last minute to stall for time. That would have looked super bad. The heel team comes out first, featuring The Miz, Stardust, The Ascension, and Bo Dallas. Meanwhile, JBL is playing cartoon rhythm game from the 90s, Parappa the Rapper.
You gotta believe, guys.
Jerry Lawler places his bets.
Which one of us is gonna finish our kickstart first?
A more interesting bet would be which one of you is going to start his Mountain Dew first. The second, less thematically appropriate team comes out, featuring Neville, the Dudley Boys, Alternate Universe Cesaro, and fucking Goldust. Yes, the Stardust versus Goldust feud that ended prematurely earlier in the year is finally going to be done correctly, by being shoved unceremoniously onto the pre-show without any fanfare whatsoever. Michael Cole explains the rules to a Survivor Series elimination tag team match, which, unlike the rules to a lumberjack match, actually mean something. Goldust starts off by power slamming Victor of the Ascension, which eliminates him immediately. Even Jerry Lawler is stunned.
And Victor.
Looks like he's not the victor today. I miss Seth so much. Titus O'Neil slams Connor from the Ascension, but somehow it isn't enough to put him away like a smaller, less effective Brooklyn Brawler. Devon hits the I'm not calling it the WhatsApp, so go fuck yourself on Connor, and JBL is about as coherent as your average Xbox Live gamer. Bubba tells Devon to get the tables.
You can't get the tables in a Survivor Series match, can you?
Well, no, but yelling, Devon, put the tables back, is less exciting. There is a commercial for Breaking Ground in the middle of this match, which pisses off the internet wrestling community something rotten, even though they should be used to getting ads in the middle of free content by now. It's just something that happens. Deal with it. Back to the match, and Bo Dallas is being very supportive of his teammates.
Of the Ascension eliminated earlier on by Goldust. So a 5-on-4 advantage for the Dudley's team.
Bubba Ray pins Connor after a modified side slam, which just goes to show if the apocalypse ever does happen, we can rest assured that most of the maniacs who survive it are gonna be a fucking pushover. Michael Cole mentions that just across the street is the Georgia Dome, home of WrestleMania 27, and JBL adds,
Oh, that's where you had a heck of a match, Michael, where you beat, I can't remember who it was.
That's okay, JBL. It comes with being a wrestling announcer. You slowly start to forget every piece of relevant information that you used to know. I believe it's called Announceheimers. Neville screams British things while he fights people.
He's so quick.
Miz hits Neville with the skull-crushing finale, eliminating him. Meanwhile, the announcers have a good long laugh about the time that The Miz was the WWE champion at WrestleMania, because that was hysterical. Unlike the situation we're in now, where nobody has a belt because they can't stop their employees from almost murdering themselves. But hey, The Miz, what a plonker. There is another commercial break promoting such WWE exclusives as Lions, Tigers, and Bears, the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast where he interviews a tragically sober Ric Flair, and 50-year-old sexy boy Shawn Michaels, the Wrestling Road Diaries, and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures. Back to the match, and Stardust is the perfect heel.
Hey, you guys want tables? You want tables? No!
He learned that trick from greeters at most restaurants during dinner hours. The announcers theorize as to how Goldust and Stardust celebrated Halloween.
What do you think those two siblings did at Halloween?
Dressed up like normal people.
Probably.
To them, it was a costume.
You're probably right, grown man dressed like a cowboy. Titus O'Neil tags in, but he's from Switzerland, so nobody cares. Oh no, wait, he's not Cesaro, he's just replacing him tonight due to injury. Nobody cares because he's just shit. Eventually, the Dudleys hit the 3D on Stardust, which annoys the hell out of him because 3D is just intrusive and adds nothing to the wrestling experience. Also, he lost. So the team of young up-and-coming talent is defeated by two has-beens, one half of an inconsequential tag team, and a semi-retired man. Clearly the beginning of a new era. Right, Booker?
I like that idea.
Back at Expert Corner, Byron Saxton says that watching that match took him back to the old days, where at Thanksgiving he would sit watching the traditional Survivor Series elimination tag match while on the verge of a food coma. This is different from the people who competed in those Survivor Series matches, who are now in actual comas. Renee Young tries to communicate with Booker, which proves even more impossible than usual as his headset isn't working.
I can't hear anything right
can't
now,
hear
guys.
us.
If only we could say the same about you, Booker. Tom Phillips' beard is slowly coming unglued from his face as he interviews a cheap Halloween Zoolander costume. Just like us jaded millennials these days, Tyler Breeze is too busy taking selfies and speaking in an alien gibberish language to have an actual conversation.
Everything is everything, Tom. Hashtag no filter.
No filter.
Lols.
Ralph.
You heard him. Tyler Breeze would rather roll on the laughing floor than help Tom Phillips get a date to the prom or whatever he's doing. DraftKings sponsors Survivor Series. Speaking of things that won't survive, your bank account if you play DraftKings. The experts discuss the Wyatt family versus Brothers of Destruction feud, and Byron Saxton likens Bray Wyatt challenging The Undertaker to a young child trying on his father's clothes. Meanwhile, backstage, Tom Phillips laughs and says, "Who would do something like that? Certainly not me, a grown man." Booker T opens a random page in the English dictionary and points at a word.
For many years, the hypocrisy of The Undertaker had no bounds.
Yeah, for ages, The Undertaker was just walking around going, "Dead people are shit. The hypocrisy knows no bounds." A video package featuring the Wyatts versus the occasionally dead folk reveals that Bray Wyatt isn't really feeling the new Evil Dead TV series.
I say that it is time for a new army of darkness to emerge.
Bray claimed to have harvested the souls of The Undertaker and Kane, which gave him the power to butcher simple phrases.
That power has become inconceivable.
He must have accidentally harvested Booker T's soul by mistake. The 2015 Survivor Series begins proper, with Lillian Garcia singing the American national anthem, which she somehow attributes to Dublin, England. The announcers welcome us to the pay-per-view.
This is the second longest running event in WWE history.
The first longest running program being any given episode of Monday Night Raw lately. This week's episode is still broadcasting live as we speak. The WWE Heavyweight title has its own table at ringside. Meanwhile, the Intercontinental title had to settle for the cheap seats all the way in the back of the arena. While some wrestlers get booed out of an arena, only Roman Reigns has the ability to get booed into one.
Tonight, guys, the question is this. Will Roman Reigns finally become the man?
Oh no, sorry, I thought tonight the question was, which of the four men competing will win the title? But it turns out the question is actually, how long will it take Roman Reigns to win it? Automated dialogue replacement comes out with my father-in-law to take on a very sweaty man who is extremely popular despite all evidence to the contrary. Seth Tweetings rolled earlier in the night that whoever wins the belt should keep it warm for him. And since it's pretty much a given that Roman Reigns will win here tonight, Seth should rest assured that the warmth radiating from his smugness will keep the belt at an acceptable temperature. The announcers spend a large percentage of the match reminding us that Roman Reigns was once a #1 contender for the WWE title, but almost completely ignore the fact that Alberto Del Rio has had the WWE title multiple times before. Triple H watches the match on a TV monitor backstage. What the camera doesn't show you is that he's standing on top of a barely conscious Cesaro, who is still reaching for the brass ring. The announcers question Triple H's investment in the tournament.
When Triple H talking to somebody doesn't mean all of a sudden he's got this big conspiracy and black helicopters going on.
Not unless you ask for Jesse Ventura's take on it, in which case that's exactly what it means. JBL has no fucking clue what a catch-22 is.
Yeah, and you're right, Michael. It's a bit of a catch-22. You want to get to that next level as quick as you can, but the main thing is, this is loser goes home. You want to get to that championship match.
Yeah, see, it's a catch-22 because he wants to win, and if he loses, he can't win. I respectfully ask, the fuck? JBL claims that Zeb Coulter has always been for the unification of people of all creeds and colors, and Jerry Lawler calls his reliability into question.
Well, if that's not a lie, you just photoshopped the truth.
Well, the truth's tits did need to look bigger if it wanted to be on the cover of Playboy. Roman cocks his fist and then gets arrested for carrying a firearm without a license, because his arm is a magical gun, and not just a normal part of his human anatomy. Easily confused 5-year-old Roman Reigns gets the spear and picks up the win over a man who voluntarily chose to do this instead of main eventing Lucha Underground. The announcers discuss Roman's victory.
Yeah, Roman Reigns can see the promised land again. You still gotta cross the river Jordan to get there, though.
Oh, so that's why his hair is always so wet. JoJo interviews Roman Reigns, who proves that he's ready to be a main eventer by forgetting all of his lines and staring directly into the camera like some sort of Samoan David Brent.
Once you take out Owens, it's me and you fighting for the championship. Just like it's supposed to be. Go get ready. That's right. Once he's done.
Kevin Owens threatens to bring actual charisma to the proceedings, and then Roman Reigns calls him out.
That's what KO does. Comes back here and he runs his mouth.
Well, at least Kevin's mouth can run, unlike Roman's mouth, which seems to spend most of its time slowly limping. Up next is another classic example of a catch-22, where Disney princess Dean Ambrose takes on Team 4 stars Lanny Pator. At the J. Ralston has been to 39 straight pay-per-views. We can only theorize as to how many gay pay-per-views he's been to. Michael Cole ruminates on what might happen if Dean Ambrose becomes WWE champ.
The Ambrose Asylum. WWE would turn into an asylum if Ambrose became the champ.
Michael Cole. The WWE would be more watchable without him. The referee forgoes calling the match and instead chooses to tell us the average length of a WWE 2K16 loading screen.
Hook of the leg and Owens kicks out.
Kevin Owens hits a cannonball to Dean in the corner, giving JBL the opportunity to deliver this classic Transformers quote.
Here we go, Autobots.
Ah yes, just like Optimus Prime used to say it. Here we go, Autobots. Much like the classic Scooby-Doo line. Woof woof, I am a dog that cannot speak English. Triple H also watches this match backstage, having replaced Cesaro with a recently fired Brad Maddox. Dean Ambrose is such a crazy loose cannon that even his shirt can't abide his throw caution to the wind attitude and tears itself from his body. Kevin Owens drops Dean Ambrose onto the announce table, but much like the people sitting behind the table, the announce table refuses to acknowledge Kevin's efforts. Eventually, Dean Ambrose gets the win, but since neither man in this match was Roman Reigns, it's ultimately inconsequential. There is an amazing commercial for tables, ladders, and chairs featuring an 8-bit Roman Reigns jumping on platforms and doing battle with a giant Big Show. It's kind of like Super Mario Brothers, except imagine that Bowser is constantly trying not to shit himself while he fights you. Next up is the second of 2 totally planned and not at all rushed at the last minute Survivor Series elimination tag matches, featuring Team Hulu taking on Team Fuck Sheamus. Xavier Woods is going to eat that little fishy. He's going to eat that little fish. He's going to eat that little fishy because he likes eating fish. The WWE writers make Sheamus a highly credible threat.
That's right, my brothers! Because tonight, we're gonna get jiggy on these posers! Am I right? Am I right?
Oh, well, he's kind of acting a little bit silly there, but at least the announcers are going to keep him looking strong.
Sheamus should use his Money in the Bank contract and cash it in for a new personality.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a good thing that Sheamus isn't challenging for the title tonight, because if he were, it might risk the bottom just falling out of the entire company. While Ryback is literally carried by everybody else in the match, JBL and Jerry Lawler do a reading for the WWE-produced script for Step Up 5, Back in the Habit.
Well, Kings aren't known for the rhythm, Michael.
I beg your pardon?
Kings aren't known for the rhythm.
What do you mean by that? I've got rhythm. I've got a lot of rhythm.
Kalisto puts up a good fight, and JBL refers to him as the Cinderella story of this WWE title tournament. Cinderella was a story about a masked luchador who tried marrying a prince, but got completely ignored because he wasn't over 6 foot and 300 pounds, right? The New Day do the traditional Thanksgiving celebration of walking out halfway through the match so they can get the best Black Friday deals. Sheamus is left to fend for himself, which is hilarious because he's Sheamus and not a human being deserving of respect. Sheamus hits a backbreaker, and Michael Cole tells us the name of his favorite side character from Friends.
Sheamus!
The match reaches its final moments, and the tension is off the hook, so of course Jerry Lawler elects this moment to tell us about his Twitter habits.
Somebody just tweeted me a picture of my royal family from my Survivor Series match. I retweeted it, and it reminds me of this.
The announcers finally give Sheamus the respect he deserves.
Doink was a clown. Sheamus is a Celtic warrior.
They both had red hair.
Who knew Jerry Lawler was a Republican? Because apparently he can't see color. Everyone hits their finisher on Sheamus and he loses because, oh my god, Sheamus, right? Imagine if we were supposed to take Sheamus seriously as a champion, for example. Be fucking weird. For 25 years, The Undertaker has risked broken bones and bled for us. He has put his body on the line. He has given us of his very soul. And now you can buy a t-shirt with his face on it. Seems like a fair trade. Everybody hypes up the Divas Championship match, and the announcers go on and on about how personal the grudge match has become. But for some reason, nobody's able to really specify why the grudge match became so personal. But I'm sure we can read between the lines. Heavenly Goddess Paige deems us worthy of her presence, and she tells us that it's her house. Then Charlotte arrives, but it's okay, because she got permission from her dad to visit Paige's house. The referee holds aloft the esteemed Divas Championship belt, as if to say, the fuck is this, and why is there a giant pink butterfly on it? The match gets underway, and the announcers waste no time and start talking about who began the Divas Revolution. Paige? Charlotte? The Bellas? Alundra Blaze? Wilma Flintstone? A small Irish bloke named Greg's wife, Greg Wiener? Charlotte gives Paige a series of knife-edge chops and then puts her in the figure-4 leg lock because she is a strong, independent man who don't need no man. Except her dad.
Paige said some pretty inflammatory things about Charlotte last week, and Charlotte hasn't forgotten about that.
But apparently everybody else in the company has. The fighting spills to the outside, and at some point Paige climbs atop the barricade, making these men briefly the luckiest men alive. Charlotte then spears Paige off the barricade. At least I think it's a spear. It looks more like a blunt pair of scissors. You know, the kind you give to children when you don't want them to hurt themselves. That's what this is. Paige taps out to the figure 8, making Charlotte your new Divas champion. And therefore, by proxy, Ric Flair too. Backstage, JoJo interviews Dean Ambrose about his hetero life mate Roman Reigns.
I love Roman Reigns. I give him the shirt off my back.
Oh, easy to say that after your shirt already took off and left. Roman shows up to drop this bombshell.
Normally I give you some love, give you a big old hug. Tonight it ain't about love and hugs.
Forget love and hugs. Tonight is instead about love and smugs. Next up, it's a white blonde man fighting another white blonde man. If Hitler wasn't subscribed to the WWE network yet, he is now. Why are these men fighting?
Lazy millennials.
Oh, that's right, because Dolph Ziggler briefly transformed into a deluded 60-year-old man. The announcers have a fascinating discussion about fanny packs, and then Jerry Lawler remembers why they're here.
Some people still wear fanny packs. No, quit it. Nobody does that. Dolph Ziggler!
The Zig Show?
We need some of that fragrance Booker T was talking about, Summer Breeze.
Oh yeah, Booker T. He's just so funny, isn't he? You know, I could be funny too, you know.
You're just jealous we weren't talking about you.
What? Dolph drops an elbow, and JBL makes one of the crassest jokes in the history of WWE.
That elbow once killed the king.
Well, I don't think that's very funny. Making light of the time when Jerry Lawler almost died on TV. There is a time and a place for...
I remember my first crush.
Who was it?
Orange.
Why are you not dead yet? I mean, The Undertaker's here. It would be convenient, if anything. There is a commercial for the Creator WWE Superstar action figures, where you can imagine what it would be like if Seth Rollins was still an active competitor, and if Roman Reigns had some semblance of personality. The Munsters today take on the shitty Addams Family movie, where Tim Curry played Gomez. The Undertaker gets an even more elaborate than normal entrance, complete with a giant coffin-shaped TV screen that displays every iteration of The Undertaker's character, complete with Ministry Undertaker, Undertaker as played by Vega from Street Fighter, and a homosexual man. Braun Strowman gets very cranky upon seeing The Undertaker and has to have his diaper changed 4 times before Undertaker finally makes it to the ring. Eric Rowan tries to interject, but gets taken out by a double chokeslam. He is unable to rejoin the match later as he is too busy trying to say 3 complete sentences. JBL understands Bray's motivations. Well, that makes one of us.
Listen to Bray at all, you understand this is a mission Bray Wyatt feels that he has to go on, that he's compelled to complete.
So it's another classic catch-22 situation. The crowd chants, "You've still got it," at The Undertaker, because surprisingly, he is still able to wrestle as well as he did 1 month ago. Undertaker hits the leg drop on the apron, which Michael Cole describes as vintage Undertaker. You know, unlike all the fresh, new Undertaker moves that he's doing. Braun Strowman throws a tantrum and Kane over the announce table, leaving us with only Jerry Lawler on commentary for a good 5 minutes. May God have mercy on us all. Taker and Kane both sit up at the same time when Bray Wyatt tries spider walking over to them, because nothing says true horror like 2 middle-aged men doing a sit-up. Undertaker tombstones Luke Harper and gets the pin. I defy you to think of a better way of celebrating The Undertaker's 25-year career with the WWE than having him tombstone and pin a guy that he's never really met before in a meaningless tag team match. I defy you! Taker and Kane both raise their fists at the same time. Synchronization, the true power of the dark side. The final match to determine the WWE champion and the man responsible for the declining ratings right now is finally here. Yes, it's animated chipmunk Dean Ambrose taking on inanimate shithead Roman Reigns. Before the match gets underway, JBL helpfully explains the WWE creative team's motto.
The great matches Roman Reigns has had, the great matches Dean Ambrose have had, none of it matters.
The match begins, and the crowd cheers when Dean Ambrose punches Roman and says boo when Roman punches Dean, which is short for boost, which is what they're trying to give him because they support him so much. Roman manages to get the Superman punch on Dean, but by the looks of things, the camera angle did more damage than the actual move. Dean Ambrose almost falls out of the ring, but then bounces back and hits Roman with a clothesline. Congratulations, Dean. That is the 1 millionth time you've done that move. You win one of these. Speaking of dull and predictable things, Roman Reigns gets the spear and wins the WWE title. Congratulations! You unlocked the bad ending. Now let's go replay that pay-per-view and get the good ending. What do you mean it's not a video game? This is an actual pay-per-view being put on. It's not a WWE 2K16 thing. Then what about all the loading screens? Those are commercials. You're fucking lying. Confetti rains down from the rafters in celebration of Roman's victory. Then it turns out it's not confetti for Roman. The WWE just finished shredding all of Hulk Hogan's feather boas. Triple H comes out to congratulate Roman, this time standing on top of Dean Ambrose. But Roman isn't having any of that kindness malarkey, so he does the intelligent and rational thing and assaults his boss on live television. Then Sheamus arrives, no doubt to do something wacky and goofy and make an absolute tit out of himself like he did before. Oh no, he's cashing in his Money in the Bank contract and winning the WWE title. It's a good thing that they've conditioned us to take Sheamus seriously, otherwise this would seem like the dumbest idea possible. As always, Michael Cole is officially on hand to officially explain things.
He would then call for the official cash-in. Once the official rings the bell, it's official.
That's the official report from an unofficial fish tank. Michael Cole spoils the plot to the upcoming WWE-produced sequel to National Treasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, that man Sheamus steals history.
The pay-per-view ends with Roman Reigns lying beaten on the ground, with tears in his eyes. And yet he still rises up. A proud Samoan man who still has breath in his lungs and strength in his muscles, so he will still continue to fight. So of course the crowd boos the piss out of him. That's it for another Mark Remark. Tune in next time for some more Catchers Catch Can Catch 22 action. Toodle pip, y'all.
Lols.
Ralph.
Tom Phillips has glued pieces of hair. What? JBL. What?